All right, another episode, another week. I believe by the time this goes out, it will be November. So happy November to everybody in our group. And let me tell you, I am feeling good today. I am recording this in my basement with no shirt on. Don't drive off the road. I'm channeling my inner Colton Korn, who shows up every week to our calls with no shirt on. So I'm channeling my inner Colton. Shout out to Colton out in San Diego. No shirt, no problem. Hope everyone is doing well. Happy November. You got a couple months, 8 weeks left in this year. Let's finish strong. Q4 is when the slayers in business come out to play. We got to finish this year strong, guys. We are ready to go. And with that, I want to give a shout out to the people in our world, on my team specifically. So, at Strive to Move, I want to give a shout out to Dr. Ashton and Dr. Kaylee. They are absolutely killing it at Strive. The business at Strive this year is up over 50% year-on-year growth. So much credit to them. In addition to Ashton and Kaylee, Sophia, our sales development rep based out of Texas, shout out to her. She is killing it on the phone. And then in the back end, Andrew makes sure that our insurance and all the billing and everything goes through actually as it needs to. A key team player that doesn't always get the front and center attention, but someone that we certainly need to make sure that the business moves forward. On the coaching side, I want to give a shout out to Matt. Matt helps us with our podcast. He makes sure that these get uploaded on time. He helps us write the headlines. Not only that, he helps with emails on both businesses, and he is doing really great with our Google Ads account. So shout out to Matt. Shout out to Rachel. Rachel, she has started with us and does amazing in the marketing department. She puts together the reels on our Instagram team. She is the client concierge for our Biz 101 students. She works on probably the biggest pain in the ass thing that she's helped me with specifically is the live events. The live events, as you can imagine, are, it's like putting on a bar mitzvah every 4 months, which she really thrives at. So God bless her, because I sure don't want to figure that out. And then we have Lauren. Lauren has been my longest employee that I've had. She started as a 10-hour-a-week employee at Strive, and now she is working in the sales department on the coaching side. That's not only helping our clients learn how to sell, teaching their teams how to sell, and also gets people into our world to take Cairo Biz 101. Finally, I wanted to shout out Ia, our newest employee. She is based out of the Philippines and is in our marketing department. So far, all reports have been amazing. She's done an amazing job and fit right into our team. She's already taken over some projects. Just to give you a little insight, we have a database in our mastermind where all of the live calls go as recording so that people can go back and check those. And she has already taken on the project to go and update those so that the titles are more relevant, so people can go back and find exactly what they're looking for if they're looking for an old call. So far, so good with Ia. And then can't forget about our interns. We got Ben. Ben is a student at University of Michigan, and he's been with us on and off for a few years. He does a great job getting emails and replies out to everyone. And Aiden is probably the smartest person in our world, and he's 17 years old. He is smarter than probably all of our staff combined, including myself. And he has built database and dashboards and things that you can never, ever expect. So this is takes a village to build our businesses, and we've had an unbelievable year. We're looking forward to finishing out this year strong and couldn't be more excited for 2024. That being said, today's episode is about why I think most people fail in their second locations. And just to give you a preview about why most people fail, it's because they don't do what's necessary before they build. They don't understand that they need time, they need money, they need people, and they have to decide of the business that they're in. The business that they're in, are they in the business of opening up multiple locations? If they're not, then we shouldn't open up a second. And I dive deep into that in today's episode. This episode is near and dear to my heart because this is something that I struggled with in retrospect for years. I was young and I was ambitious and I wanted to grow, and kind of shiny object syndrome. I had one practice and I went and kind of built a second out of a gym, and it was fine. It was nothing bad happened, but also nothing good happened in retrospect. It just distracted me. And so many of the people I resonate with that come into my world that are young, they're hungry, they're ambitious, and they want a second location. And my advice is to listen to this podcast, because what I'm probably going to tell you is to pump the brakes. Isn't that I don't want you to grow. It's that understanding what growth actually means. So I hope you enjoy this episode. As always, if you enjoy it, like, rate, review, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies. Podcast grows literally every single week, all because of you. So thank you. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Business School for the Rehab Chiropractor. Class is officially in session. My name is Justin Rabinowitz, and I am a rehab chiropractor on a mission to teach you, a fellow rehab chiropractor, the exact tools and systems I've used to build my own successful rehab chiropractic practice so you can do the same. I hope you enjoy, and please subscribe. So let's just start out with a case study. So if you're driving, pull over. If you are in front of your computer or with a pen and paper, keep that out because I want you to write these numbers down, though they're quite basic. And if you are driving and can't pull over, then when you get home, take out the pen and paper. But let's do a case study. So let's say you have a very successful, thriving rehab chiropractic solo practice. It's you and an admin. You have a small office or an office out of a gym, and your prices are right, and you're selling packages the way you should, and your marketing is good. We know that model in and itself can generate really about $350,000 per year. It's a great practice, by the way. That's amazing. I mean, if you're doing 350 in the model that I just talked about, let's just say your rent is 1,000 or 1,500, you have one employee, you're most likely doing 50, 60% profit margins. Again, it's a hell of a business. And then because of that, you want to grow and expand. And so you're doing 350 in gross revenue in 2023, and 2024 starts and you want to go crush it. So what do? We go open up a second location about 8 to 10 minutes away in another gym, and we rinse and repeat. And what we do for the next year of 2024 is we start out with 1 day per week, and it's fantastic. Instead of doing 5 days a week in location 1, we do 4 days a week in location 1. And then we do 1 day a week in location 2. So we're still working the same amount, but now we've decreased from location 1, but good news, we've built a second location. And at the end of the 2024, our gross revenue is $350,000. Well, how did that happen? We just robbed Peter to pay Paul. Because now the revenue is the same, but how we got it was different. So instead of doing 350 out of one location, you did 300 out of one location. And then 1 day a week, you went to a second location and you made 50. So at the end of the day, we made the same amount of money, but we worked a lot harder to make the same amount of money. And so if that's the case, if it's just you treating the patients and have one employee, the math on that is challenging. I mean, logistically, it just doesn't work. None of us should be in the business of working harder and adding more complexity to generate the same revenue. At the end of the day, we are in business to make a profit. You're still making a profit, but you made it harder than it has to be. Growth and expansion to me does not mean adding multiple locations. It means adding gross revenue, adding staff, adding more profit to the equation. The example that I've just talked about, I see it all the time. And you know how the first way I saw it? It's when I did it. Because I did this. Solo practitioner, you're doing pretty well. A gym owner calls and said they have an open room. And you say, that sounds interesting. It's a great audience. Let me go and do that once a week. But now looking back over the course of 10 years and now teaching and coaching many people just like me, I know that it isn't a strategy for success, and it certainly isn't a strategy for growth. So we just take that as our model and our mind frame and our mindset of 5 days a week generating 350, and then we go to 4 days a week in one and 1 day a week in another. We're generating 350. Same business with more layers of complexity. And so for a lot of you out there who are ambitious, who do have plans for growth, what I would like to be able to explain to you today in this episode is what I believe to be the real path for growth. So many of us talk about, air quotes, scale. What does scaling your business mean? I guess you could say multiple locations is scale. But if we're scaling without a plan to grow the business, revenue, profit, I think scaling is just being busy. And let's not conflate the two. Scaling your business and being busy are not equal. Now, what typically happens in these situations, happened to me, is we start our first practice and it's going really well and we get really busy and essentially we hit a flat line. And when we hit a flat line, we start searching for another opportunity. And that next opportunity oftentimes comes in the form of a satellite clinic in another gym. The problem, as I see it, is that we're scaling in the wrong way and in the wrong order. So let's break that down a little bit. You have built your business, you got it off the ground, you're doing well, and you're looking to scale. And so you now are by yourself and you're working 5 days a week and you go to open that second location because you want to scale your business. And when I ask people why they're doing it, what they often tell me is this is a great opportunity with an audience that is my perfect patient and I want to get involved in that area. And on the surface, again, all bad ideas start with good intentions. The problem is it isn't that you are going to go to a new audience and find your perfect patient. What you're really saying is, I don't have a good marketing plan. I don't have a good leadership plan. I don't have a good growth strategy. Because when you flatline in location 1, the solution is not to go open location 2. Because inevitably, in the next 1 to 2 years, you're going to flatline in location 2, eventually close one of them and be back to square one. There's a fundamental flaw in your thought process and business model. If you are running a rehab chiropractic practice, the most patients you're going to treat is, if you're doing an hour-long session, 30 to 35 patient visits a week. There are very few places in this country, in this world, in Canada, in Australia, where 35 patient visits a week, you're going to tap your market out. So if you have flatline because you can't find any more new patients, this is not a people problem. This is not a second location problem. This is a marketing problem. I'm being stern with you because this is advice I wish someone would have told me in 2017 when I did this. I was frustrated because my business model was wrong. I didn't have a marketing plan. I didn't have a marketing strategy. I hadn't built a team yet. Those are the things, and I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide on how to go about doing this. But don't think because you built your first business and it's doing well and you've sort of flatlined that the solution is to go and open a second location, because I promise you 18 months from now, you're going to run into the same problem. The problem in location 1 when you flatline is that you don't have a plan to market. If you are seeing 30 patients, 60 patients, 70 patients, and you are in an area where there are people and you can't find more new patients, this is not a business problem in the terms of new location. It is a marketing problem. You do not have a marketing plan. You do not have a marketing plan. It is impossible that you have tapped the market out at 35 patient visits a week. It's an impossibility. So let's get that on the table right now. So then I'm telling you all the flaws with second locations and scale. So you probably are asking, or you should be asking, okay, smart ass, what should I do? Well, I'm going to tell you what you're supposed to do. If you want to open multiple locations, and scale your rehab chiropractic practice, I have four things that need to happen. The first thing that needs to happen is you need to have money. You need to have money. When you open your first practice, most of us do it on a shoestring budget. We get a table, we go in a room, we probably negotiated a lease that's very favorable to us in the beginning, and we just get it going. And there's very little overhead, and we just figure it out. Make $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000. The overhead is so low. What people don't recognize in location 2 or multiple locations is you are going to need to fund this operation because of what we're going to talk about next. You need people. If you're going to do this properly, it cannot be you opening up second location 2 without other practitioners and staff to work and make sure that locations 1 is protected. So many people, again, they open location 1 and it's just them, and they go up location 2, a satellite clinic, and location 1 isn't protected. And neither business really grows because they don't have the people in place. So going back, if you're going to have people, it means you need money because you need to pay them. So the first thing you need is money. The second thing you need is people. And then the third thing you're going to need is time. Why do you need time? Because as you scale the business and you add people to it, we cannot assume that your people, are going to have the same level of success as fast as you had it. You are the business owner. You are the entrepreneur. The people around you, you have to give them a little slack and the benefit of the doubt that they aren't you. And we need to account for that. We need to account for that with budget. We need to account for that with time. We need to make sure and ensure that this business is properly staffed, is properly funded, and has a proper amount of time in order to make sure that the second location is most successful. So if you have money in the bank and you give that business time to work, and you have people on your team that can help make sure the other locations, we have a chance. However, I think the fourth point I'm going to make is the most important point before you decide to open up a second location. So I will give a shout out, my friend Vince Gabriel, who does business coaching for gyms and fitness trainers. And he got this advice from Seth Godin, the author. And the advice was this. It's like if you were going to open up a second location, you have to decide if you want to be in the business of opening up 10 locations. Because oftentimes opening up 2, you're sort of half in, half out. Financially, it doesn't actually help you that much. It just creates more chaos in your life. And if you want to be in the business of opening up multiple locations, that means we have to go in opening 2, thinking we're going to open 5 or 6. And at that point, you were in the business of opening up rehab chiropractic practices. And so for that, hopefully that gives us a pause before we try to go open location 2. Because what I would say, something to consider here is if you are ready to grow and open location 2, what I want you to just stop and think about, if you took out a piece of paper and wrote on the top, is what am I trying to achieve? I'm trying to scale. Okay. What if I told you location 1 is doing 350? Why can't location 1 do 700? Why can't we scale in the current location? Why do we need to open up a second location? This first location has momentum, it has staff, it has people. It is going to happen a lot faster if you add the right marketing channels, if you add the right sales system, if your prices are right, and you bring a team and have them in place. If you are an operator of that business as a rehab chiro and you bring in a second practitioner and a sales team and a marketing team and they work with you day to day, every single day, the likelihood of that going well is significantly higher than if they're remote in a second location. And so the first thing that I would ask you if you're going to open up location 2 is why wouldn't you just double location 1? You may say, well, I'm in a gym and I don't have the space for it. Okay. Well, rather than go pay rent at 2 different gyms, why don't we just get a proper office? It'll be cheaper, be less headache. We have to start looking at the business like this. Like I said, I'm speaking to you as if I wish someone would have spoken to me back in the day. Because when I got stuck in business and when I wasn't making the money I wanted to make and my business wasn't where I wanted it to be, the problem wasn't that I didn't have multiple locations. The problem was I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't have business skills. And so my business at the time doing 250,000, and then we opened up a second location and exactly that's what happened. We added revenue, but it was at flat because I was taking time away from location 1. Well, now we're at a point where we have a practice that does basically 7 figures, close to it, out of 1 location. Why? Because our focus is right. We have a great team in place. We're in person at that location. We're putting all our resources in place. We have a marketing system that works. We have a sales process that works. We have a team that is engaged. And we do all of the right things in 1 location. Where your focus goes, business grows. Where your focus goes, business grows. And so let's recap. What is it that you need to open up multiple locations? Well, you need money, you need time, you need a key person or a team in place. But really what you need is to have to decide if you want to be in the business of opening up multiple locations. Because if you're going to open up 2, you have to be in the business of thinking about opening up 10. And again, if you're in that business, you are in a different business. When you're opening up 10 locations, you're in a different business. The last thing I'll share with you, I had a mentor once who had started working on a fitness franchise. The reason why he got into that, he was in a different business before. He really loved working out, and he thought that that was a way he could get in, combine his two passions, business and fitness. And what he said is when he started the franchise, what he never realized was that he was no longer in the fitness business. He was in the business of selling franchises. Let me say it again. When he got into the franchise business, he realized that he was no longer in the fitness business. He was simply in the business of selling franchises. And so if you want to be in the business of opening rehab chiropractic practices, I wouldn't say that's 2. It's probably 10. And so before you get to 2, what I would say, if you have maxed out or are a solo practitioner, what I would say is go from 350 to 7. And if you're like, I don't think I can do that, well, all I would say is, first of all, you can, you just don't have the business skills yet. If I can do it, you can do it. And so if our business is about 7 figures in revenue at Rehab Chiro, cash only, without me seeing any of the patients, if I can do it, you can do it. You might not want to put the time and effort in. I get it. It might be easier to open up a second location and distract yourself for 18 to 24 months. I get it. I understand. Again, I've been there. But that doesn't mean that it's the right business move. And for you guys out there that are listening to the podcast, as I've always said, I just hope that I'm opening up a loop for you. Some of you might be angry or disenfranchised or dissonant to the advice that I'm giving. And some of you might even prove what I'm saying to be wrong. Any and all of that is totally fine. I'm just sharing with you my experience and experience of others that I've worked with. If you are currently in your location and doing pretty well, but frustrated or feel like you've gotten stuck, the thing that I would question is what skills are you lacking? If you don't have a team around you, do you have a leadership problem? If you can't find any more new patients, do you have a marketing problem? If your schedule's booked and you're not making the revenue you want to make, do you have a sales problem because your prices are wrong and no one will pay the prices you want them to pay? Every problem in business is solvable. But I would just caution you guys who are in that position to just run to another opportunity to distract yourself from solving the actual problem that exists. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. And if you found this content valuable, here are 4 ways I can help you for free. 1, grab a copy of my free guide, the Rehab Chiropractor's Checklist. You can get that at go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. That's go.drjustinrabinowitz.com/guide. 2, go ahead and give me a follow on Instagram at Justin Rabinowitz, where I post business content. 3, subscribe to my weekly newsletter by sending me an email at coaching@strivetomove.com. And 4, leave us a 5-star review so we can gain access to more influential people and bring those lessons back to you.